The Planet With anime series comes to an end, and of course it all ends with a big, awesome, giant robot clog punch. The Planet With anime series, I think, is going to go down as a cult classic. It's going to be remembered as that little anime series that could from 2018. Watched by few, admired by only a couple, and always revered for being something new, unique, something that's actually touching with a story which is absolutely timeless. And it was all encapsulated within this beautiful and awesome episode right here. Was it perfect? Not exactly. Did it feature a lot of action that I really wanted to see? Not as much as I was hoping for, but the overall themes of the entire series truly come to a head in this episode, which honestly makes you reflect on it and remind you that this is one of the most unique anime experiences you have ever seen. So let's just go ahead and jump into this episode right here, the final episode of Planet With, which also happens to be the final battle with the dragon, which is not so much a battle as it is watching a bunch of ridiculous robot-infused animal robots pushing a giant dragon into a wormhole. Saying that out loud makes me realize how incredibly strange this entire series is, but honestly it makes sense for Nebula to come up with a plan like this. The entire plan is simply to lure the dragon into a space-time warp hole to push it away and banish it again. Nebula's not exactly a warrior race. They're not the Saiyans or anything. They're not there to blow shit up and conquer planets. They try to do things in a more peaceful manner, and if that means they can stop something without killing it, that's definitely the option they're going to go with. And it worked before, so why not? Let's try it again, except at this time it's only intensified a little bit more by the fact that the dragon itself is realizing that this is like its last chance to actually have some sort of role in this universe, and it's going to pull out all the stops, going as far as to even trying to control Soya Kuroi. This is where we actually go through this big flashback sequence of Soya on his home planet with his brother, and I thought that this was like some sort of Nebula trick where they like try to get inside of someone's mind and they try to trick them with all this really pleasant imagery, because they bring up like all of the things that Soya was completely upset about with his planet, with reuniting with his friends and his family, his just living on the planet and having fun, going to his favorite bakery. It was all there just sort of thrown into your face, and we get to learn that this is actually when the dragon landed on this planet and even confronted Soya, telling him that it should hate him endlessly. So basically this all ended up being some sort of like giant concoction from the dragon himself to sort of take advantage of this entire battle and situation, or it was just a weird, freaky, psychic, jumbled mess. I don't know. All I know is Soya is able to reject all of this and is able to fight back perfectly against the dragon as they all manage to push it into the wormhole. They have to work fast in this situation as the wormhole is slowly but surely closing up. There's a great breakneck sequence where all the members of Grand Paladin just barely manage to escape, and the only ones left are Soya, Ginkgo, and Sensei, and they perform this like sacrificial move to take out the dragon and push it into the wormhole by attacking it with not just a freaking cat hammer, but one that actually has a giant clog on it. Yes, it's actually happening in this series. Apparently, with this sort of power, you can manifest anything. It's kind of like the spiral from Gurren Lagann, but I really love it. They managed to defeat the dragon, and now they're stuck in space and time for all of eternity, and it's only a matter of time before they crumble into absolute nothingness. So here's the part of the episode where things start to get a little too anime for its own good. The only reason I say that is because I feel that the ending here was a little rushed in what they were trying to accomplish. The overall plan of Soya and his friends is to fly into the mouth and stomach of the dragon. Yeah, that stuff goes down. And they end up going to the core of the dragon, which is actually the original person that he was. He basically looks like frickin' Cousin It from the Addams Family, and he's devoid of almost all personality altogether. And the way that they're actually going to take this guy down is not through some big epic battle, not some crazy fist fight, no swords, no beams, no ridiculous anime crap. What we actually end up getting is the characters forgiving this character. And I think what might be the most effective moment is when Ginkgo actually breaks down and starts crying and forgiving the dragon for his crimes. Now, the reason for this is because inadvertently, by the dragon attacking Sirius, it meant that her planet would actually go on to survive. Basically, this entire scene is just supposed to demonstrate that even though bad things happen, sometimes there is actually a good outcome from it. Not everything is going to be completely black and white, and that's why forgiving someone and the power of forgiveness ultimately is such an important thing in the world. It can honestly send a ripple effect through some of the most shittiest of situations. And that's basically what's going on here. It also proves to the dragon that, yes, these people can know what love is through the power of forgiveness, and he was able to save them in doing that. Metaphorically, the giant thing just starts crumbling from the inside, and they manage to go through a warp-hole, which was conveniently created by Soya's people, which spits them out into space, and they're right outside of planet Sirius, which is still all dried up and destroyed. Soya and his friends make a crash landing there, and it looks like they might not even be able to get out if they can communicate with their friends. But Soya notices off in the distance a single flower is growing, which means that the planet is indeed alive. Generalissimo returns, who's super happy, wagging his tail like a maniac, happy to see his cat friend alive, and we get one final moment between Soya and Nozomi as the episode just kind of ends. So what's the rundown on this episode of Planet With? I loved this episode, and I was also kind of annoyed by how it actually ended. I was kind of hoping there'd be a little more interaction between the main characters at the end of the series, especially Soya and Nozomi. Especially how much they managed to build up Nozomi in this episode, considering that she has the ability to sort of sense things psychically through time and space, which is pretty freaking godlike when you actually think about it, and it's actually responsible for them actually finding Soya and Ginkgo and Sensei. Final battle with the dragon itself, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping there would be a little bit more in the action department. It mostly just consisted of them pushing this thing into a giant hole. Still, there are enough really epic moments here, and the overall imagery itself kind of really sells the entire thing. The absurdity of it all, and the fact that it manages to actually play it straight. Also, I mean, come on, the clog punch, that's been like a theme of the entire series, and every single time it happens, it's just so freaking awesome. The scene of them actually pushing the dragon into the hole was also really effective, as it looks like they're about to be completely swallowed by this thing, only to immediately fly up under its chin and just deliver an amazing freaking uppercut. It was a great sequence, but again, this entire series is sort of defined by its characters and the themes that it's actually going for, the power of forgiveness. I know it's something that they pound into your head quite a bit in the show, but it actually works for this series. And again, what I think is so great about it is it's one of those shows that you can watch like 100 years from now, and it's still going to have an incredibly relevant and good message. It also helps that it's also a pretty good-looking anime series. Pretty much everybody got their moment in this episode, which I thought was really great. We got to see Grand Paladin doing their thing, working together, the senior members of the team working with the younger ones, imparting their wisdom to them and their ability to be brave. I thought that that was really fantastic. You have Generalissimo and Sensei's actual race, the weird animal people, finally going into action. Getting to see all of their spaceships actually push the dragon was really funny because, one, they're super cartoony and they completely contrast with this like giant sci-fi dragon, but I absolutely love it because it completely owns all of that. And of course, Soya, Ginkgo, and Sensei in this episode were great. They're a trio of amazing characters which completely make this show. It reminds me of watching the very first episode, and I'm just like, what the hell am I even looking at with this giant cat, this gothic Lolita maid, and this regular bland old looking anime character? And by the end, they ended up transforming into three of my favorite anime characters of all time. Ginkgo in particular in this episode was just great. The moment where she broke down in front of the core of the dragon was just so effective and really just played to the heart of this entire series. This one worked, man. It really did, and I really cannot endorse it enough. If you have not watched Planet With, please check out the series. It's completely available to you now, and if you haven't even watched it, just power watch the whole thing. It'll completely blow you away with what it's trying to do. It's not the best anime series that I have ever seen, but it's one of the most unique anime experiences that I've ever had, and I think one of the biggest surprises of 2018. I think it's going to be, like I said, a real big cult hit in the future. But still, I loved this show for what it is. It was unique. I never knew it was actually going to happen. I hope to get more anime experiences like this, and it was done in a way that it actually wrapped up in the perfect amount of time. Like the 12 episodes that are here, sometimes in any other anime series, they can get stretched out for way too long, whether it be a whole 26-episode season or something that's over like 100 episodes like One Piece. A lot of the times that can make things boring, but the pacing of this show and the characterization and the story that it was trying to go for was awesome. It can be kind of confusing in some parts if you try to make it confusing, but ultimately it's a really simple show. So there it is. I loved it. I loved this episode. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I thought this was a great anime experience. If I could give the whole series a score altogether out of 5, I'd probably give it about a 4 out of 5. It's got some flaws, but it's some pretty high quality stuff, and it's super entertaining. So there it is. That's my thoughts. I'd love to get all of yours, though. If any of you guys did watch the final episode of Planet With, tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Tell me about your favorite moments, favorite characters, and just your favorite moments from the entire series overall. Would you like to see more Planet With in the future? Do you think it's worthy of a sequel, or would that completely ruin the entire story? Let's just get a discussion going about this awesome show right here. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.